Let's get from very basic. Let's say we are here, we want to create a new file. So all we're going to do is uh, just right click over here, go to new, create a new Python file, give it some name. I'm just going to say at underscore vats. So what you're going to do is we're going to understand variables. That's the bare minimum part of any programming language. So we are going to see what kind of different variables we can create in Python so as to store the data. What kind of different variables we can create. In different languages, you might be aware, we need something to store the numbers like 0 to 9, any number, right? Also, we need something to store characters. We need something to store the Boolean numbers. We need some data structure to store, say, Boolean values, true or false, right? So similarly, in Python also, we have these common stuff, but it is very flexible. Like in Java, you might be used to creating an integer by providing a specific data type, like create an int, like int a is equal to something. That's not the case in Python. If you want to create an integer, you can simply create, that's it, provide it value. So depending upon the value that you assign to a particular variable, it will figure out it's an integer or it's a float, it's a string or it's a boolean or it's some kind of data structure like list or tuple, all those things. So it is very straightforward, very easy to create any variable in Python. Just use any name. You cannot obviously use like space in between, like if you want to create a variable like with name like is true. So you cannot create a variable something like is true. You have to at least put an underscore in between, or basically put something like not this, but ideally we do it like is true, but if not, at least put an underscore. And that is also discouraged in Python. So ideally, just do is true, or and then you can put some value inside that, like true or false. Like in this case, I'm saying it as true. But let me see by putting underscore why it was discouraging. Okay, anyway, it's fine. So few things that we cannot do by creating the variable names, that is, you cannot have spaces in between. That is totally not allowed. Also, it's not a good idea to start a variable name with a number. You can add a number afterward, like is true 1 or something like that, but not a good idea to start with like just a number. You can create a variable with like a capital letter like GY, something like this, but also it's discouraged. Start with a small and then probably just use, you can use like a capital letter just to segregate two words. But let me tell you, it's Python is more like all small case. You will hardly see a lot of capital case things in a Python program as a standard overall. Okay, so let's see how we can declare various type of variables, and then we can start taking questions. This is integer, any number. If you're coming from Java or C# background, you might be doing, okay, int has certain limit, then you want to create a big int, then, I mean, bigger number, then you create a double and long and etc. There is nothing like in Python. You create A, you create B, add any numbers, there is no limit as such. Literally no limit. This is one of the very powerful things in Python, and this might surprise you for sure if you're coming from Java background, seeing that you can just like that create such a long number just by creating a variable. This will be treated as an integer itself. So whenever you want to create an integer, that's it. Small, big, everything in the same fashion. Which in case of Java, you have to really do like create a byte and create a int and then long and whatnot. A lot of different things depending on sizes you have to do. But over here, the thing is pretty simple. What about float? Fine, float. I will create C. You can call it anything, doesn't really matter. Float means it has a decimal point. That's it. All good. If you want to create a string, anything that you put in double quotations or in single quotations, you will see single quotations more often, but doesn't really matter. You can use double or single. Anything that you put inside these will be treated as string. Um, I think I clicked something by mistake. Anything that you get in the double quotation. So it can be a capital letter, a small letter, any space, any number, any special character. Anything that goes, if it is inside a double quotation or a single quotation, that will be treated as a string. So let's take a simple string for now. We'll just say A, B, C, D, and E. So that's a string. Boolean, fine. I can just say B, or we already have B, so let's say D, true or false. As I said, just a variable name and whatever is the assignment, depending on that assignment, it'll find out what type of variable it is. During the course of the program, if you want to print anything, we'll use print statement. Hello world. To run the file, it's as simple as just select current file over here. So whatever is the currently selected file, that will get run. So there is this small triangle here. If we click that, we will run the program. In this case, my program has one print statement. It has got executed and I see hello world in the output, as simple as that. Okay. So can I print variable values? Why not? Just put the variables here. Let's say I want to print the string. Simply put it over here. If I want to print integer, see that. While printing the integer, although the value is number, it converted it into string format. It prints it. Okay. In this way, you can print certain things, whatever, float or certain things. You can convert as well explicitly if you want to explicitly convert a particular value into something else. Like in this case, if I want to convert a from integer to string, I'll simply say str of a, which will convert the value into a string format, which is nothing but this. If I say a 100, but inside double quotations, so what is this? It still has the value of 100, but the data type is string. What I meant to say by is, let's say a and a1. A is 100 and a1 is also 100. But if you say type of a and type of a1, that they will be different. So type of a will be class string and type of a1 is class integer. It's an integer data type. And this is string data type just because we surrounded it with double quotations. So anything that we put inside double quotations or single quotations, that's treated as string. So you can simply convert the data from one type into another by doing the way we were doing. Like, let's say this is in the string format and I want to do some arithmetic operation on this. So I want it into a different format. So let's say I want to add some number to it or divide it by, say, 10, for example. If I want to divide it by 10. So will it work? No, it already started, complaining. And that's because the current data type of A here is string. You cannot really use string inside an arithmetic operation like division or subtraction or something like that. And that's why it is complaining. So in this case, I know the value is still an integer value and I can easily convert it back to integer. So we can, in that case, simply put int, and then that complaining will go away. Let me comment this real quick. And when we execute it now, then we'll get the output. Otherwise, it will complain that I cannot divide a string by any number like that. So very basic stuff. We can create various data types, um, integer, float, string, boolean. We have some other data types in Python. No need to worry about them right now. We have something called as list, which is list of numbers, which is kind of similar to array. Let me comment it. So it can hold like data in the in the form of a list, in the form of an array. We also have something called as tuple, which we'll see slowly. No need to worry. This is kind of a very Python specific data type where data is stored in the form of two values, like key and value pair, but not like dictionary key and value, in the form of like twos or uh, in the form of even multiple values, but inside the small brackets. Okay. What it is, how to use this, we'll see it slowly. We also have a dictionary object, which is similar to VB scripting dictionary. If you have worked on QTP UFT tool, which is kind of a legacy automation tool, um, you might know the concept of dictionaries, which is purely like map, hash map in Java, where you have key and value, and also we have set. So all these data structures we'll see slowly, we'll understand about them slowly. For now, we don't need them. Just for the sake of telling you, I told about them. For now, all we need to understand is there are four main data structures here. One is integer, one is float, one is string, one is boolean. So four. Any questions so far? Okay, all good. So let's move ahead with some basic arithmetic operations. Okay, so let's say, let me get rid of this. Let's say we have two numbers. A is equal to 100, B is equal to 200. Basic operations and arithmetic is the most basic stuff, right? Um, if I want to do addition, yeah, simply like this we can do. If I want to subtract B from A, okay, as simple as that. If I want to divide A by B, we can do this. Let's just say B as 20 in this case. So there is a new thing here. Print A, divide by B, and then there is also a floor division. This is something new in Python. Let's take a look at what it is. So let's run it. We have the value of A as 100, value of B as 20. Let's run it and see the output difference. So when we divide A by B by a simple division, we get 5 point something. And when we divide A by floor division, this is called as floor division. And this is a normal division where the output is given in the decimal format. So let's say we are dividing by 21. Okay, it's not a fully divisible. So now for this normal division, we are seeing the output in the decimal points. But in a lot of cases, we are not worried about getting the output in the decimal format, and we just need the integer output. So in that case, we'll go with the lower division with 2/ instead of 1/. That's the new thing here. Okay, apart from that, pretty much basic stuff you already know, like modulus. I want to divide by A by B, but I'm not interested in the division, but I'm interested in the remainder. When you divide A by B, what's the remainder of the division? That is the modulus. In this case, the remainder is 16. So that's what we get it by using modulus operator. Any questions? And then there is one more thing, which is exponential. So if you want to find out like 100 to the power of 2, the uh, simple operator here is double asterisk. So it's simply say 100 to the power of 2. Like for example, let's do it in the reverse, P and A. So 2 to the power of 100. No, 2 to the power of 10, 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 8. We do this quite a lot of times, right? So that thing you can do with this kind of operation, where 2 to the power of, in this case, 8, which is 256. Okay, pretty simple, basic stuff. Okay, any other questions, anyone? All right, so this was the very basic stuff. Let me start with an assignment. So we're going to do this assignment, which is like very basic, bare minimum stuff uh, to get started with Python. Let's see how much we can do in today's session. And once we do these programs, any concepts that come across, we can deep dive in those concepts. Okay. Also, I'm going to share this assignment along with all the code that we are going to learn in the program with you via Google Drive. You will receive few things after the session. Number one, you will receive the recording of the session that we are doing currently. So you can go through the recording. You can access it in number of times. Only thing to understand is you have to use the same email ID that you gave us. So if you are logged into your Chrome with multiple Gmail IDs, just make sure you use the same email ID that you gave us. Otherwise, it won't allow you to access the recording. Okay. So make sure whatever Gmail ID you gave us, use the same one to access the recordings or any other resources. Like you will also receive the Google Drive link for all the different codes that we have, uh, any programs that we are writing, also any assignments like this assignment file also you will receive. In addition to that, mostly during the week, there will be a small assignment, say 4 to 5 programs that I expect you to do on your own, which should not take more than an hour in the whole week. Okay, the whole week. So just spend that hour however you like spread it across the 5 days. Spend like 10 to 15 minutes every day, or just do it in one shot, however you want to do. But go through and do that assignment and share that assignment with me. Let me give you my email address here. It's mayur@deasylearn.com. Please copy it and save it, um, probably inside your Gmail account or wherever you find comfortable. So whatever assignments or home projects that you're going to do, you're going to share them with me on this particular email ID. Um, so please copy it. Let's begin with the basic ones. Okay, these are very basic programs. Uh, is there anyone here who has not done any kind of programming before? Even for you, this is going to be very straightforward. But I just want to know.
I have a question, Mayur. Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
uh, did we don't need to show data type along with the variables, specific data by like writing the integer or float or
No, no, that's the beauty of Python. We don't need. We don't need, and we can't do that. That's not the requirement in Python. You just do
we
the
will be
variable.
even we writing the code,
Even what? Sorry.
we writing even writing some code under this code. So we don't need to add or show the specific data type that this data type is belong to that variable.
Right,
Actually,
right, right. Yes, yes. This is the actual code, right? I'm running it. We don't need. We don't need. You can't do something like int a is equal to this. This is not
yeah, yeah.
allowed in Python. Okay, this is not allowed. You just put a variable, assign it some value. It will read the value, and depending upon the value type, it will determine the type of the variable. If the
Because
currently value is
you
it
know, yeah, because you know that in Java that, we need to show the data type along with the variable.
correct, correct. In Java, you have to be very specific. You have to specifically call it byte or int or string or float or double or whatnot. Over here, it is straightforward. You just say variable name, and depending upon the current value of the variable, right, current value of the variable, it will determine the type of the variable. You can even switch it. Like let's say in B, I have 21. For example, I print the value of B here. Also, let's print the data type of B also. Type of B, okay. And then afterwards, I change my mind. I want to put something else in the B. Okay, let me just put it inside double quotations, and then let me print the value of B over here. Totally fine. This is um, in Java. This is not possible at all, but in Python, it's totally fine. Initially, you had B. It has some value. Okay, currently value is integer, so this will be treated as integer. Then later on in the program, you change it to string. Okay, this will be treated as string, and any string operation you can perform on this. Let me run over here. Initially, it is 21. The type is int. Then you switch it to string. Type is string. Okay. We do it usually like this? We don't. In the actual programs, if you see, we don't really mess up with the data type of a variable. Like if it's integer, we'll kind of keep it integer and work with it that way. But just to tell you, is it possible? Yes. So it is flexible to that extent. So that's why Python is very easy. If you know Java, doing Python programming is a piece of cake for you. Just you just need to know the syntax. It is so easy, very very straightforward. Okay, and we are going to see it. You're going to say, "Oh man, it was so easy. Why didn't I learn it before?" I bet you're going to say that because I felt the same way. I spent around how many? I spent around 11 years in Java out of my total career of in IT for around 19 years now. 11 years I spent in Java. Java is my core strength even today. But when I started working on Python, I thought, oh man, this is so easy. This is like there are no restrictions, and you can do one thing in several different ways. And they have inbuilt function for doing so many important things. And in Java, you have to do or you have to write such a big code to do that. And that's the reason probably all these AI/ML people they go with Python because it's really straightforward. It's like uh, no funny business. It's like very straightforward. You don't have to end a statement with like colon or something. Nothing that sort. Straightforward, simple, and that's the key thing about Python, and that's why it has become so popular in so small time. Okay, okay. So going back to the questions, simple. I'll create a separate file for each, so that when you refer this at home, it'll be easy. So I'm just going to say 2.p and let me do one thing. Let me create a say kind of a directory. These are the basic programs. I'm just going to call it as basic. Where did it go? New directory, basic. Let me push it inside that. And inside this one, let me create one underscore p. So what this one underscore p is nothing but this first program. Okay, so I'm going to put it over here, going to comment it. So what do you want to do? Create a variable temperature. Okay, let's create a variable with name temperature. All right, then assign it some value. Okay, and then print it's hot if the temperature is above 30 degrees. Okay, so if you want to comment anything in Python, you can use hash, this this pound or hash, whatever you want to call it, this thing you use. And then whatever you write here, it will be a commented code. It will not be part of the execution. Okay. If you want to comment something that is already there, like over here, if I want to add a comment, you can use a shortcut which is um, on the Mac, it is command and forward key. There's a command sign and forward key. If you are on Windows, probably it is option, not option or control. Try, yeah, control and forward. For Mac, the toggle is simply command key and the forward slash. For Windows, it is control and forward slash. So to toggle the comment, if you want to comment multiple lines or remove the comment from multiple lines, you can do command key from your keyboard and forward slash. Okay. So temperature, instead of giving some temperature like this, okay, let me just do like 60. Okay. Print it's hot if the temperature is above 30. Okay. So if temperature is above, greater than 30, you need to print it's hot. Fine. Currently it is 60. 60 is greater than, simple this, greater than, less than, those simple arithmetic signs. So that's the condition is. And if the condition is satisfied, it will go inside the condition and execute the code. So now, very important thing to understand is Python is an indentation, indent-based code. This is based on the indentation. You like whatever is in the scope of if condition has to go one tab in. So let's say this particular if condition has multiple lines of code that will all go here. As soon as you come out of this indent here. This is we come out of the scope of the if. Okay, so if something right here outside of if condition. Okay, this is very important to understand because you might be used to see like brackets like these in Java or other languages to define the scope, opening curly bracket, closing curly bracket. That sort of thing is not there in Python. It's all indent based. So this part is now in the scope of this if condition. As soon as you go out of this, as soon as it doesn't, we don't need that space, but as soon as you come out of this indent, this is a new line of code. So let me remove this and let's run this. Let's say it's hot outside of the if condition. It means whatever it wanted to do, it did, it came. Let's say 6 degrees is 6 greater than 30. No, the condition is false. For the if the condition is false, obviously it will not go inside if, right? Like this is the structure of if and else. You have if, then you have condition, then you have colon. If the condition is true, then the if block, this if block will get executed. Excuse me. So whatever is the portion of code that you want to run, if the condition is true, that will get executed. And then you also have else. If the condition is not true, then in that case you have something to execute. Then you can also execute it when all you need to do is just put it as part of else. So this colon is important. Okay, not just for if, but we'll see in future for even for loops. This colon is important. Also for several other stuff, which we'll see slowly. But just focus on if condition right now. So for the if, we have this word if, then there is condition. Do I need to add the condition inside like these things, like we generally do? We don't have to. It will not throw error as such, but it will complain, like it's saying, it's complaining. So you remove redundant parentheses. It is saying it's redundant. Python doesn't need it. Okay. It knows that this is the condition. It will evaluate if it is true, false, and it will work accordingly. You don't have to be too obvious. So no formalities. So condition will be evaluated, and then if the condition is true, this part will get executed. If condition is not true, then the part from the else will get executed. But let's pause on else for a second. Let's see what happens now. Is 6 greater than 30? No. Condition is false. So obviously it will not go and execute this. But it will go and execute this because this is not part of if, obviously. So that's why it will go and still execute this statement. Let's run this. So we don't see it's hot, but we still see outside of if condition. Okay. Got the concept of the scope of if, right? Is this clear? Why this statement is in the scope of if and why this is not? Right? Okay. Now let's look at else part. Else will not start here, okay? Because this is still in the scope of if. We want to go outside of the scope of if and then begin the else. So else will start here, and then whatever we want to do, whatever code that you want to execute as part of else will go over here. Let's say if it is not greater than 30, I'm going to say it's cool, whatever. It's hot, cold, whatever you want, right? Fine. So now, whenever the condition is not true, it will automatically go here and it will execute the code that's part of the else block. Okay, so in this case, when we execute, now we'll see it's cool, and this obviously will run every time because this has nothing to do with the scope of if or else. It is outside of the scope. It's actually in the scope of the actual program that we are writing.